challenge is real. The stakes are high. They bet big. They win big. They lose big. High stakes live action poker. Live at the bike.
Look at the, if we can get the V-pips up there. I always kind of caution people to look too much into them because small sample size. But still, for this particular table, outside of Josh and Little Harry, nobody's really playing that many hands. Especially considering it's a straddle, and that actually counts as you played the pot.
Yeah, Bryce, Big Harry, some of the looser players. Now Josh is playing the most hands, and he's raising up the most. And Bryce with a pretty good statistic of 36 VPIP, 23% or pre-flop raising percentage. So the majority of hands, basically 2/3 of the hands he's playing voluntarily, he is raising up.
Josh is on a 76-43 clip.
Yeah. Yeah, and now this is only hand 31 of the show. So once again, these are stats in just 30 hands of poker. But
Josh raises. You get a 3-bet here.
Josh's VPIP is also a subject of the straddle because a straddle, I believe,
does count.
Yeah, it does count against the VPIP.
Josh is going to call this, and we'll see this one heads up between Josh and Scott. Scott, a significant underdog. If you're new to the show, you can see the graphics in the bottom left corner of your screen. And how about a set here for Josh? How does he play it? Scott has picked up a pair of sixes. So Josh with the check and then kind of like the I'm not interested look away.
I would say the third person.
And then a big splash.
Yeah. Josh with a snap raise. Scott does not have a hand strong enough.
The interesting thing is, as aggressive as Josh is pre-flop, we've noticed he's not actually that aggressive post-flop.
Yeah, except for that one hand where he chose to bet blind for whatever
Right,
reason.
but he doesn't usually raise his opponents.
Now, what Scott has to do here is evaluate Josh's range and see how King 6 fares up against his range. So even if Josh had something like 8-9, 8-5, let's say 10-8 of diamonds, a 6 against that hand doesn't have too much equity. And against Josh's entire range, it doesn't have good equity at all. This is just a clear fold. I don't know what Scott is thinking.
Now, the interesting thing is, Scott is, obviously, as we've seen, he's apt to fire one more bullet as a bluff, but he probably would not bet the river unless he had it. And he's just going to go with it here. Moves all in. And this is the only thing. If you're Scott, you have to have some sort of a plan, right? You have to know there was a chance that Josh might move all in here, and he did. By the way, it's not 170 to call. It's 1,600. Josh has moved all in for 1,600, and there it is. Pot is 3,700, so you're getting a little bit more than 2-1, getting about 2.4 to 1. But it's just a matter of, do you put your opponent on a draw or not?
Well, if you called on the flop, you put your opponent on a draw. And actually, with Josh having betting lead and being the first person to act, this is the expected move. It's not like Josh is raising to 800 and going to...
Well, that was my point. I said, if you called the 800 on the flop, what was your plan? Nicole Juergens always says this. I hope you have a plan. You had to... I would assume, you're a chess player. You make a move. You move your pawn here. You expect your opponent to do something. When Scott calls the 800, I would assume this is not a surprise.
Yeah.
Did you think Josh was going to shut down with a big draw?
Now, one thing in poker is you got to always look one street ahead and say, how am I going to act on certain turn cards? I can understand that Scott's tanking on a diamond, but this turn card doesn't hit a lot of draws. Is Scott put Josh on a draw? Now, Scott's reevaluating, and the problem with reevaluating now is you've already put 800 in the pot.
I don't have a problem with the reevaluation of it. He's going to call here. He's going to hero him, and you can see Scott is drawing dead. Scott is drawing dead. Pot is $5,300, and nice pot there for Josh Macchiello as he's going to win this pot. I don't mind reevaluating it because sometimes, sometimes I'll hero somebody or I'll make a call because I don't think they're going to double barrel as a bluff. But I think you have to have a plan, and I'm not sure if Scott had a plan. That's the only thing. Like I said, I like Scott's game. Scott went with his read, though, and obviously, a little bit off here.
Yeah.